Hello, welcome to Orient Today. We would like you to meet Anne Marie Rogers of Oakland Township. She's a business owner, the founder of and president of a nonprofit animal rescue and sanctuary for over 20 years. She has a background in animal welfare shelter management, dog training behavioralist, and wildlife rehabilitation, as well as being a retired animal control officer. Anne Marie has started a victims advocacy group to promote public safety in regard to dangerous dog attacks and recently held a tribute in Lansing for National Pit Bull Victim Awareness Day to honor and remember victims of fighting breed dogs. Well, Anne Marie, thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you here today.
And thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your advocacy group and what you're doing for Oakland Township?
Well, I've always been a dog lover, a dog owner, and have worked in animal welfare field for over 35 years. But it wasn't until I noticed the emergence of pit bulls, which are representing probably 80 to 90% of the dogs in shelters now, and have found a lot of friends and have been hearing a lot about the escalation of pit bull attacks. So I did some research, and even as many years as I've been in animal welfare, I didn't realize how many people pit bulls kill. Almost 600 Americans are dead because of someone else's pet choice. These aren't stray dogs that are attacking. They're not fighting, dogs that are from fighting rings. These are pets that have been raised in a family home. So I was quite shocked, as well as having seen a lot of the attacks on other people's dogs. Just brutal, so many that it just really haunted me. So I founded Responsible Citizens for Public Safety in an effort to save lives of both human and non-human.
And this isn't necessarily to kill pit bulls, it's just pretty much to neuter, spade them, to stop the breeding of pit bulls, correct?
Right. What we want to do, we promote canine awareness, and promoting public safety through canine awareness. We want to educate, and we want to work on legislation. And we call that breed-specific legislation or breed safety laws. And those are laws that regulate a particular type of dog. Usually if there's a problem, a disproportionate number of attacks with that particular type of dog. Not necessarily just pit bull type dogs. It could be any type of dog that has been causing problems. But no, the typically breed safety laws would include, it can be a ban, but not always. It can be mandatory spay-neuter, which is what we really advocate for, of pit bulls, because they are so overpopulated and overrepresented in shelters and in cruelty cases. But registration, proper containment, and liability insurance. So those are reasonable expectations that any responsible pet owner should follow anyway, maybe even muzzling in public. But the purpose is to help reduce or stop the number of serious maulings, disfigurement, dismemberment, and disability.
So what makes pit bulls in this category as you're looking at other breeds? Why do pit bulls seem to stand out to do these type of heinous?
Pit bulls are, the fact is that pit bulls are the #1 canine killer of people, pets, and livestock every single year. They kill more than all other dog breeds combined, and it's because they're a fighting breed. Their heritage, their genetic, they've been bred specifically to kill other dogs. And they do have a genetic trait for unpredictable, explosive aggression that can never be loved or trained or rehabilitated out of them. In fact, 50% of the people that are attacked by pit bulls are their owners or their owners' children. So that really kind of dispels the myth that it's all how you raise them.
So then
So-
it is not on how you raise them. It's
No,
pretty much
it's
inbred, so
genetic.
you,
Right. Yeah. It's just like every dog breed was bred for a purpose, whether it be companionship, hunting, guarding, herding. You know, I mean, you can't train a border collie not to herd. It's genetic instinct. Just like with the pit bull, they will go after other dogs.
and what triggers them, especially to go after a family member?
Well, that's the question. It's got to be the genetics. I mean, there have been people that have owned these dogs that were well loved, well raised, well trained, that have been absolutely wonderful dogs until the second they weren't, and they launch into a deadly attack. In fact, my friend's 14-month-old son was killed by his friends, 2 pit bulls that she had had from the time they were 6 weeks old. They'd been spayed and neutered, they'd been socialized, they'd been obedience trained. One day she had the baby on her hip and let the dogs out to go to the bathroom. They turned and they grabbed that baby and attacked her, and he died. It was very tragic.
That's very tragic.
But when these attacks happen, the problem is the owners always say, he's never done that before. I've never seen him act like that before. So there's that element of unpredictability. Most dogs will give you a warning that they're upset or they're angry. Pit bulls don't. They can be playing and seem happy and then launch into a deadly attack, which is what makes them so dangerous.
So that's something that I was not aware of. To where other dogs, yes, they do give warnings, like stand up, their hair stands on the back of their
Yes.
neck, or they growl.
Or do.
But pit bulls, they just jump right into action.
Yes, and that has been documented many, many times. In fact, there are many peer-reviewed medical studies that talk about this. Pit bulls are disproportionately represented. They've studied hundreds and hundreds of attacks, and it's always pit bulls that cause the most severe damage, and that's always the answer. They've never done that before. They were always surprised.
So here in Oakland County, at our animal shelters, is there many pit bulls up for adoption?
Yes, actually, yeah, all across the country, but in Oakland County, yeah, I mean, I would probably say there's at least 80% of the dogs are pit bulls or pit bull mixes. And I find they promote them as safe family pets. And I have a problem with that, because as a taxpayer-funded shelter, their priorities state that, their priority is public safety. Well, you can't be public safety and then promote blood sport dogs.
So we're speaking of not purebred pit bulls, but also pit bull mixes when we talk about pit bulls, correct?
Yeah, and that pit bull is a class of dogs. It would include American Staffordshire Terriers, American Bulldogs, American Pit Bull Terriers, Staffordshire Bull Terriers. I mean, there's a whole, but they all have the same heritage of dog fighting. So
I'm interested in this term nanny dogs, or what? How?
Well, that's a myth.
What is that? Could you explain that?
Well, that's what the promoters of pit bulls, the pit bull lobby, which is sort of an informal term, that can be anywhere from a multi-million-dollar organization to small shelters and rescues, anybody that promotes pit bulls. But that is a dangerous myth, this nanny dog myth. It actually started in 1971 from a breeder of American Staffordshires. She was a fancier, and she wrote a fictional book and talked about them watching children, but they have never been used for that.
Interesting. So tell us your website. Do you have a website address that our audience can go to if they're interested in learning more?
Absolutely. We have a really stunning website. It's Responsible Citizens for Public Safety, but the web address is rc4ps.org.
Wonderful. So if you're interested to learn more about pit bulls and their heritage and anything more about them, please go to the website and you can learn more. And Anne Marie, your information is also on that website, so folks can reach out to you directly.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, our
Great.
email address is on there. We're happy to help to educate people about the dangers that pit bulls pose to your neighborhood and your pets.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Okay, well, thank you all, and we will be right back momentarily, so please stay with us. We have a lot of great news to come your way, and we have other guests that we would like to share information with you as well.
ONTV invites you to take part in our 10-week video production class. The class meets on Monday nights from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and offers instruction on studio production, field production, and non-linear editing. Upon completion of the class, you get access to ONTV's facilities and equipment to produce your own program or short film. The cost is $30 for Lake Orion residents, $60 for non-residents. For more information, give ONTV a call at 248-393-1060 or visit orionontv.org today.
Hi, and welcome back to Orion Today. I'm Anita Kowalski, and I would like to introduce you to a transcontinental driver, Eric. Eric Probst, if you please, would tell us what is a transcontinental driver?
Hi, thanks for having me. Transcontinental Driver is a group of guys that basically celebrate the open road and also associate themselves in some way to the Cannonball Run series of events that happened in the early 70s.
That sounds extremely interesting and fast. How fast do you go? Do you ever break any speed limits?
Well, in efforts of keeping within the laws and of the land, there may have been some speed limits broken. How we get involved in such a process, it simply happens by kind of looking to the past and the things that have been done by others. The original Cannonball series of events was inspired by the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And a group of guys, sports writers, and other personalities were of the opinion that a person can drive across the United States safely at speed, and they set off to do such a thing. There were 5 events held in the early 70s. All of them, except one, took off from downtown New York and ended at the Portofino Hotel in Los Angeles, California. Roughly 3,000 miles of a drive. Now, these are all done nonstop from start to finish. In the early days, the winning times were in the mid to lower 30-hour ranges.
Wow.
That's with fuel stops only.
My goodness. That is a lot. So it started out as a protest, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, it really has. And now, in the 80s, there was another group, the U.S. Express, that kind of picked up the torch. And they were more of a high-dollar car, say Ferraris and things of that nature.
Wow.
And there were some record settings that went on there. A few years later, there were some solo runs. Mm-hmm. And then finally, the group that I'm involved with, the C2C Express, we picked up the torch and we modeled our group as a love letter to the first 5 Cannonball Run events.
Wow. Okay. What is the youngest car you've ever driven, and then what is the oldest car you've ever driven?
Well, me personally might not be the answer you're quite looking for, but the ones that have been in our group, we've had a 56 Chevy as our oldest car to participate. And then the newest car has to be of a 79 model year vintage or older. So for example, if a body style of a car ran from 1978 to 1984, you could still use those early 80 cars because it was true to the shape and style of the vehicle. That keeps the speeds down by today's standards. Nowadays, the average speed around town on the freeways can be, an observed 75 miles an hour just coming up I-75. Mm-hmm. So in an older mid-70s car, if you're doing 75 miles an hour, you feel like you're really doing something.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any examples to show our audience?
You know, I did bring a couple videos along, and if we'll take a look at one of those, we'll see
that'd be
where
great.
we're at with that. This right here is Darien, Connecticut. That's where the final season of the C2C Express was the starting point. In 1979, it was the starting point for the last Cannonball Run. The cars that we're seeing pass by were at this event for a documentary that was being filmed out of the United Kingdom. The Cobra on the screen right now is our winner for the event last year. That car made it across in 31 hours, 47 minutes. You can see the man, it's tough for me to say. Documentary crew taking some footage of one of the drivers and a car that he's put together. A lot of these vehicles have extra fuel tanks in them.
So they don't have to stop for fuel?
Less stops for sure, because gas takes time. Here, the crew were shooting us doing hot laps around the mall, which was fun. There was a camera guy hanging out the rear window of the car, and as we round the corner, you can see lights on the ambulance, which is an exact replica of the one Burt Reynolds had in the movie, released in '82, Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run. Wow, that is a lot of history.
It is. It's a little humbling to be part of, I guess, a distinguished group of scofflaws, and at the same time, as an organizer of the event, you really have to be careful to not only honor the past and all that has brought us to our time, but to leave those doors open for those who may want to do this in the future. As you can see here, my brother helping out with navigation and the wide open road out west is some of the best scenery that one can really take in a shortest period of time.
So is Montana really the blue sky country?
Big sky? Yeah,
Big sky
without
country.
a doubt. Here locally in Michigan, one of the things that you can observe is the horizon line. Tends to be really close. You get out in Montana and you can just see for miles. Same thing across the Great Basins, out in the desert plains. It can be 15, 20 miles across, and it just, you can see side to side. There was one car in particular on the footage that has a 275-gallon fuel tank in the back. That fella filled up in Connecticut, and he did not need gas until he got to the Redondo Beach Hotel. Right.
How heavy was that car?
Actually, gas is about 6 or 7 pounds a gallon, so it really didn't weigh any more than a car full of people in their gear. So he had it balanced over the axle. It was really a professional install. He made the tank himself. He was also the fellow that owned the Cobra that you saw in the winner's circle there.
So.
We've been across with a couple different vehicles myself. One of my favorite events was in a '74 Monaco. It was our first experience with using a fuel cell.
Yes.
And being the first experience, things like fuel odor for 40 hours really can drive a pretty strong headache, that's for sure.
Goodness. Have there been anybody pushing any siblings out of the car on the way?
No, not necessarily that. And I'll even go on to say that our events have been safe. Last year's event, we had more than 100 individual participants with 40 cars signed up to start. There were no moving violations, and there were no accidents or anything to note of. So we really take safety seriously because even the participants know that they also hold the future and the public opinion of a transcontinental event of this type.
That is amazing. Yeah. Is there anybody from outside of the United States that flies in or actually brings their own car?
Actually, yeah, there's quite a few people from around the globe that have participated in last year's event. The co-founder and myself are he's from New Zealand, and we had met through Facebook. And so when we built this up, we have folks from all across the globe coming to play. The cars are usually purchased and insured and titled in the States because to bring a car across the seas is expensive to do so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Eric, for bringing the Cannonball to Orion Today television. And I hope that you enjoyed it also. And we'll be right back with more news in Lake Orion.
Hello, Lake Orion. It's Anthony Taormina, co-host of Between Taorminas. I want to let you know of a new show called History Now. In it, we're going to talk about global, national, and political events that occur in our lifetime. We're going to also have guests and also have co-hosts as well, and also plenty of surprises. Catch us on History Now here on ONTV.
Good evening and welcome back to Orion TV. This segment will be cooking. We'll have a demonstration from Matthew, and we'll also do a Brazilian beverage with Carla.
Hi guys, I'm Latasha Clemens, and today I have Matthew Clemens here, which he is going to show you guys how he is a chef. He's been a chef since he was 6 years old. He learned from his father, and he just loves to cook. He's a Master Chef Junior because he watches all those shows, and he just come up with these fantastic recipes, and they're just amazing. So today he's going to show you how he makes his famous dish, which is called chicken parmigiana, crusted chicken parmigiana. So Matthew, could you show our guests how do you make what you have here today, and how do you prepare your chicken crusted parmigiana?
Yes. So the first step that I do is I season my 3 chicken tenders with a little bit of seasoning salt. And then I season it with a little bit of garlic salt. And a little bit of accent salt. And black pepper.
Now, do you usually use you use chicken tenders or chicken breasts? And you could tell our guests that you use chicken tenders and how many, to make that special dish so that you have enough for, your family or guests.
Yes, I like to use chicken tenders because they're easier to fry, they're easier to clean, and chicken breasts are really big and they take really longer to cook. So chicken tenders are really easy and they take little amount of time versus a chicken breast. So I like to use chicken tenders so everyone can get either 2, 3, and you don't have to just get one whole one, and it's better to have individual.
Okay.
So
show us what you have today and show us how you prepare, this special famous dish for our guests.
So first, after you season your chicken tenders, you're going to take it and put it in the 3 beaten eggs, and you're just going to dredge it and make sure it's all coated with the egg so it can stick, so the breadcrumbs can stick.
Okay.
So after that, then you're going to put it into the breadcrumbs, and then you're going to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese, just for flavor, and a little bit of fresh parsley. And then you're just going to mix that around it so it can just have, the breadcrumbs can have a nice texture and taste.
Okay.
So then you're
do you
just
usually season your breadcrumbs, or it just comes with a flavor, or use a specific breadcrumb, or you can tell your viewers?
I use Italian breadcrumbs. It has seasoning already, but I usually just like to add more seasonings just to add flavor.
Okay, and then you put it over there.
And then I would put it over here.
And that's what the product will look like before it and after you have that product, you put it in, you boil you have your noodles here, I see.
Yes, I will boil my noodles in garlic water, and then after that is boiled, I will put my pasta on a sheet. In a pan. I will put marinara sauce, and then my homemade marinara sauce, which I just use a little bit of olive oil and pepper, and then I let that heat up.
Okay.
And then after I boil my noodles, I will put a little bit of my marinara sauce in the bottom of the pan, and then put a little bit of my pasta noodles and And then after that, I will put more marinara sauce, then my chicken tenders on top, and then put a little bit of mozzarella cheese, and then more Parmesan cheese and parsley just to garnish, and then put it in the oven for 10-15 minutes on 350 degrees, just so the cheese and everything can melt
All
together.
And then you have that nice texture and
Yes.
that layer of the cheese, and it just looks so cheesy and so good, and so mozzarella and garnished with the parsley.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
it smells delicious.
Yes, it does. Well, thank you, Matthew, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in to Chef Matthew.
And we have Carla up next. This is Carla De Silva, and she's going to share a traditional Brazilian adult beverage with us.
Yes, so this is very simple, it's very easy and delicious. So I start to add in some vodka. So this can be whatever the vodka you want. So all you need is a shaker, vodka, cups for put the caipirinha. Here I will put 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 lime, 1 whole lime. So I'm going to start with adding the lime here in the cup, in the shake. First, before we put here, I will squeeze a little bit the lime for the juice comes out. So just squeeze a little bit like this. One more. Yep, that's it. So I just clean my hands. And then we are gonna put some ice. Usually the ice is how much you want to. Okay, there is no.
So that's optional.
Yes.
As much as you want.
So add this.
I like to fill my shaker.
Yes.
Full, yeah.
So this is about 2 ounces. 2 ounces of vodka.
Now, is there a particular vodka or just any vodka?
Any vodka.
Okay.
Any vodka. So I like this one. So.
Now, this drink, is it, how do you drink this? Is it just at parties, or can you just sip on this, or
usually,
how is it used?
Usually we drink in a parties, and when it's Sunday, usually we have some special lunch that is feijoada, and everybody comes home, and we make some caipirinha at home for the family, for the friends, with the feijoada.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very, very good.
And for our listeners, again, could you give us a tutorial on how to say this again?
So it's caipirinha.
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 Okay.
Yes. So this a little bit, okay, just for confirm everything is here. Ice, sugar, lime, and vodka. Then you tap it, you shake it. Sorry, it's spilling out. You shake very well. So after this, sometimes you will see the cup is a little bit empty. So for this, we can add a little bit water for it to be more, will not stay strong.
Oh, okay.
But
so you want to
yes, and we can add a little bit water. So now we open it a little bit careful. And put everything together here.
Am I the taster?
Yes, sure. So right now I will just add a little bit water and shake a little bit more, okay?
Okay, so we need to add some water?
Yes. Can I take here?
Yes.
So, excuse me, sorry.
Now, when we add more water, do we fill the cup up, or do we just add a certain amount of water?
You can leave this way, but this is so strong. It's a little bit strong, so I
So you
prefer.
want to dilute it more. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we just add a little bit water, and for you don't return here, you don't need to put again here, okay? So you take a spoon and mix together. If you want, you can put more ice.
Okay.
And just for finish, one lime, and there we go.
Voila.
Voila.
Can I taste it?
Yes, sure, please.
Thank you for tuning in, and thank our special guests. Thank you, Carla, for this Brazilian beverage. Thank you, Matthew.
For your lovely famous dish and your chicken crusted parmigiana. And I'm sure everyone that's viewing would love that recipe. You can go to orionontv.com and his recipe will be there.
Thank you.
all for tuning
Signing
in.
off, Casey and Tasha.
Thank